Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Lions Rampant event. Quite a few things happened in this event, so I'm going to be putting it into two separate videos. This first video is just going to be going over the balance changes and the refunds, whereas the second video is actually going to be going over the new troops that have been added to the game this week, as usual. I will be linking this in the description, so if any of you want to read the full length of all of these changes yourself, you can. So let's get into the actual game. And before we do, let's give out the redeem code for today: CSY4BPHWPU. PU. And just type that here. Just go to shop, go to redeem code, put it right in here, and you will get the normal redeem reward of 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold, and that is for the first 200 people who do that. So let's actually get into this now. What I'll be going over right now is groups, and let's do the refund. If I can spell refund, that'd be amazing. Hard words. Okay, first up is Astral Spirit. Astral Spirit actually got a huge nerf, like gigantically huge. This is probably the hardest they've ever nerfed a troop, like 1 week after its event. Normally they wait at least a month, but they did this immediately, I guess because too many people were doing 4 times Astral Spirits, and I'm pretty sure I was at the part of the root of the problem to that, since I was kind of doing it quite a bit the last week. But so what changed on her? For one, she has 2 less magic. As you can see, I used to have 17 magic on her. Now it is only 15. Another thing that changed: she used to have a 2-to-1 boost ratio. Now it is 3-to-1. The last thing that changed is she used to gain 1 magic per yellow troop on the team. Now it's just Centaur Bond, which is +2 life to all centaurs. So that combination has reduced her by a possible total of 6 plus 1 gem or 1 magic every few gems. So that is actually quite a bit of reduction on the amount of damage she does. Luckily, the things that are still intact is the fact that she does remove all of a selected gem. She still costs 11 mana, and she still has Empowered. So as far as board control goes, she is still just as strong as at board controlling as she was prior to her nerf. The only thing that really changed with her is the amount of true damage she does has been cut back a little bit, because it was a little bit ridiculous before how much it was doing. So as far as refund or not for refund, I would have to say, if you were doing like a 4-time Astral team earlier, you probably don't want to do that anymore, and you might want to just refund it if so. Otherwise, as far as the troop goes, if you're just going to use one of them on your team, it's still a very strong troop. Still has just as much board control, so you might want to keep it. Do keep in mind with yellow-blue, most yellow-blues are actually quite defensive. So Astral Spirit's probably the most offensive yellow-blue in the game. So if you want something more offensive safe, you can just keep the Astral Spirit traded. If not, you can refund it and put it towards something else that's a little bit more support-oriented, since there are plenty on yellow-blue that do that. But for the most part, with Astral Spirit, it's kind of whatever you feel like doing with the refund. There isn't really much more to say about that. If you still want the board control and stuff, keep it. Just keep in mind that her damage is lower now than it was last week. With Azra's, you'll notice here, which I didn't really read in the thing, but you could have if you read the full length thing. A lot of the troops that were up for refund when 2.01 went live are back up for refund. They had to stop the refund early because there was an infinite soul glitch that people with VIP 5 and VIP 8 could have done. But luckily, not too many people were doing that exploit, and they have fixed it now. So they brought all these characters back for refund. So I guess I will re-explain them real quick. Azarus, the change I got with him, like all other troops, he now has a 13 cost for his extra ability, which is just gaining all the mana back instead of 10. For the most part, I would say to refund Azarus, you don't really need it. There's plenty of other good red purples out there, plenty of other good troops that have the necromancy trait, so you don't really need Azarus. Dark Maiden, she of course had her huge rework with her ability. She also now has Snare instead of her whatever it was before. I actually completely forget at this point. It's like a couple weeks back when that update actually came. But for the most part, you wouldn't really need a Dark Maiden. There are plenty other yellow counters in the game that are much better than her, such as Spirit Fox and pretty much any converting troop. So for the most part, you can refund Dark Maiden. Direwolf, definitely refund. He was already like on the edge of being too weak. Now he's even a little bit weaker now that he needs 13 for his extra turn instead of 10. Dokufer, definitely refund if you have any traits on him. They were always horrible traits. As far as ability and level goes, he is still really good at a summoner. Early on in the game, he summons Giant Spider, and that Giant Spider summons a little Spider Swarm. So definitely a very strong summoner. As far as traits, you'll never need him. Dryad, she ended up getting her Nature Link, or Impervious changed to Nature Link. So she no longer has Impervious. Everything else on her is still exactly the same. As far as refunding her, you can and you can't. It really just depends on what you want to do. She's better at getting more green now, but of course, without Impervious, she's going to be a target to all stats effects. Plus, she doesn't have any kind of cleanse on her ability, despite the fact that it heals, barrier, and everything else. So for the most part, I would still keep her traded. She's still fairly strong. But if you really wanted that Impervious, well, it is gone and has been for a couple weeks now on PC and mobile. Golem, I would actually suggest refunding. I know, like, way back before 2.01 went live, I was like, oh, you gotta get Golem. But then they ended up changing his Impervious to Stone Skin, which makes it a fair amount weaker. He's not an absolute horrible troop, but if I had to go with either Golem or Rockworm now, I would go with Rockworm instead. So if you still have a Golem upgraded, I would suggest refunding it and just get a nice double Rockworm, maybe with a Deep Borer and something else on your team instead. Herdmaster, I would definitely refund. No reason to keep him anymore. There's a couple troops now that can do Cleanse All. And as far as that, he just explodes all yellows. There's now a lot more yellow counters because all the yellow counters have been going to try to counter Mercy. But this also indirectly makes Herdmaster even weaker now that there's more yellow counters. And as far as traits go, the main reason he's up for a refund is because his Impervious trait was changed to Air Link, which isn't really that useful for him. The only team you'd really ever use him for is in a all Divinian Field team with all Centaurs, because he is indeed a Centaur, which means with a Centaur bonus like Astral Spirit and maybe a few other troops that are also Centaur from Divinian Fields, you can make a good all Divinian Fields team. But other than that, if you were using this in any other instance other than a Divinian Field team, you definitely want to refund him. Myriad was never good. If you have him upgraded at all, refund him now. Do it now before you can't. Just refund him and never look at him again until he's buffed. Night Terror. Night Terror got a weird change. It was changed to brown-red from red-purple, if I'm not mistaken. And its traits were completely unchanged. As you can see, it still has Magic Spirit as if it still has purple. So I would suggest refunding the Night Terror. There isn't really much point to it. It also steals 1 magic now instead of doing a 2-to-1 ratio with blue removal. So it did get a couple more damage, I believe. But still, I would say it's weaker than it was it's weaker now than it was before, and it was already fairly weak. So really no need to do Night Terror either. What's up next? Queen Mab. Queen Mab. She got basically double nerfed. The first, of course, is her ability now costs 13 for an extra turn instead of 10. The other is the fact that, of course, oh, never mind. Her traits are exactly the same. Her mana burn can now be blocked with Impervious as well as Mana Shield. So whenever you do it on anything with Impervious or Mana Shield, it'll do absolutely nothing mana burn. So that's a pretty big nerf to it. Luckily, there's not too many with Impervious and only 1 troop with Mana Shield, for a total of 10 troops that can possibly negate a mana burn. But still, if the enemy has even 1 of those, it can be a very annoying fight for Queen Mab. I would still say, if you have her traded, to keep her traded. The main reason is Winter Veil is very, very powerful. Regardless, she could do no damage at all, and Winter Veil is still completely worth it to have her on your team. Next up, we have Tall, refund. Okay, there we go. The only change that made him refundable is he no longer has Impervious. He now has Empowered instead. Refund him if you have him upgraded at all. And now the biggest change that happened this week. The Great Maw. All of this still the same. All of this still the same. But his legendary ability has been completely reworked. It's no longer a 15% chance to devour. It is now gain 2 to all skills on Skull and Gem matches. So still kind of goes with a skull spam deck, but of course you won't be getting random hungers out of nowhere. As far as Maw functioning as a troop, I will be doing some teams with him soon, as soon as we finish up going over all these refunds. I still say he's still pretty strong. You definitely want to avoid using him on Gorgulthas though, because there's no way he can devour Gorgultha, so it's going to take him forever. You may even want to avoid him with Stone Skin now, since you can't hope on that 15% chance that it'll just destroy it for you. So definitely try avoiding things with heavy skull reduction with Great Maw now. But for the most part, Great Maw is still very powerful, as you'll see when we start getting into the regular teams I used to use with him. As soon as we go through the rest of these. Thrall, refund him unless you're using a summoner. Otherwise, just keep him. The only change that actually happened to him is it's now 13 reds instead of 10, which is basically impossible for him to get an extra turn now. So he essentially just destroys a bunch of gems and then damages himself. Web Spinner. Interestingly, Web Spinner got a buff, but he's up for refund. He used to have Demonic Pack, which gave 2 HP to all Daemons. Now he has Snare instead, which places Web whenever he does skull damage. Personally, I would say Snare is better than plus 2 HP on all Daemons. So if you have him traded, I would definitely consider keeping him traded. The only reason I would say to refund him is he is green-blue. Maybe you might want to upgrade your Mercy instead, because if you refund him, you'll have all 16 of his green-blue trait stones that you'd be able to put on Mercy, which will only take 12, and then you'll still have 4 left over, maybe for something like Giant Spider or something else useful. But yeah, definitely keep Web Spinner traded unless you need his trait stones for something else. And Winter Wolf. Winter Wolf, the only change that he has is it now takes 13 blue gems instead of 10 to do 5 more blue spawn, which is actually, ironically, this is actually a bit of a buff to him. The reason I say that is 5 blue gems, that is not a lot of blue gems. It's likely going to miss. But if there's 13 blues on the board instead of just 10, that's actually going to be a little bit better, because spawning 5 more on 13 is, of course, a lot higher chance than spawning 5 more on only 10. So, surprisingly, that's more of a buff than a nerf on Winter Wolf. And that is all of them. So let's get into some teams. I'm just going to go straight over to PvP now. Right into PvP. And just start doing teams I was showing. I'm going to be repicking that, though. We are going to be doing the Maw teams first. So as I said, you do not want to do Maw against Gorgultha. That is definitely a very, very bad idea now that he doesn't have the traits like he used to. So let's start this off. We're going right into it with a Maw. Right here. I should probably switch this banner. Normally I use brown purple on this one. Let me get over to that real quick. I forgot to do that earlier. Get it right there. Okay, and let's go into this and see how a nerfed or reworked Maw. I don't know if I would really say nerf. For the most part, it is weaker than it was, but it still gained very, very high stats and functions pretty much the same as it already was. It's just not as random now that it doesn't have that 15% chance to just randomly kill out of nowhere. So it's a bit more balanced now that it doesn't have 2 things that devour, only 1 with his ability. So he's going to take those skulls, but I don't even care that much, because it's not going to do too much to us. He does gain, of course, all those stats whenever he does that, though. So we are going to have to be aware. We still don't want to let him take too many skulls, but it's definitely not as dangerous as it used to be. Surge. Okay, so right here, I am thinking of quite a few things, actually. Not quite sure what I want to take here. I definitely want to try getting Maul up. Because he can still devour. He still has the ability, the devour ability on his ability. The devour ability on his ability. But yeah, he can still devour with his ability, so watch out for that. Okay, there should be enough brown that we should get an extra turn here. So let's go all the way to the left and hope for a nice round. We got it right there. So we're good to go now. That Maul is pretty much dead right there. I'll probably just use Famine on it to kill it off, so we can then use Skull Spam the next turn. That'll also make sure Queen Mab doesn't get a cast on us, which would have done a lot of damage. Mana Surge. Unfortunately, I might need to cast this on something with fairly low armor. I guess we'll go with the Valkyrie instead. We could go with Mercy, but just in case we need more. We're just going to do it on, I guess, Valkyrie. We'll get a bunch of extra stats right there from all of the skulls helping us. Take more skulls right there. A little bit more right there. And look at that. We have them all dead. We don't need to worry about that 15% chance. Every single skull we take, we're getting buffed. And now we can just devour it. So my main consensus I kind of got from the Great Maw of the change that it has, swordfish. The main thing that I have to say about it is the Great Maw is more of a basically a skull damager now, rather than why is that only 29? More of a skull damager now instead of just being like a thing that can kill everything. Because back when he had 15% chance to devour, you could use it against Gorgotha, it wouldn't matter. You could use it against Stone Skin, it wouldn't matter at all. And all things like that. But now you actually have to watch out for a lot of Stone Skin, a lot of Gorgothas, because if they have anything like that, it's going to be a lot harder to kill, because you'll need, you can only use your ability once, and you won't have any kind of devour to hope on. So it's kind of interesting. But if they don't have any kind of Stone Skin or Granite Skin, he's actually almost powerful, more powerful now, because every single skull, it doesn't matter, he's going to be getting extra stats. So you don't have to chance it anymore. You know exactly what you're going to be getting. You're going to be getting 2 to all skills on Skull Jam matches, which means, since he doesn't do anything with magic, which means 2 attack, 2 armor, and 2 life every single time he matches skulls. So right here, like that.
Mana Surge.
And we can't do anything with our Mercy. Unfortunately, I really wanted to do something with her. I'll start getting Shegra and hope we get double surge. Oh, I forgot. He's blocking our Brown. So I guess at this point, we will go for the Great Maw, getting him all the way upgraded. Mercy still has no alignment, though. So let's take these purples. And we got really lucky with that Cascade on the top. So right here, we'll want to use this ability, take out the Stone Skin. As soon as that's out, we can just cut through them like butter. We do miss the extra turn and give it a pretty big Brown. Luckily, he does not use Brown. And we should be able to get Mercy off next turn. Yes, a really good Mercy cast. And now we should be able to loop this to the win, most likely.
Mana Surge.
Let's see, any extra turn. I do not see any alignment for extra turn on Inferno King. I think we might be able to get it, though, by doing a couple moves here. So we'll take that, we'll get that, and we do get the extra turn right there. Also, keep in mind, aside from just getting 2 to all skills on skull matches, the Great Maw still has the huge trait as well, which gives 2 life on 4 times or higher gem matches. So he's basically like Behemoth in a way. Behemoth gains 4 life whenever it does 4 times or more gem matches. But if you're technically doing skulls on 4 times or 5 times skull matches, you're gaining as much life as a Behemoth, plus you're getting attack and armor on top of that. But of course, you don't have Impervious like it, but still, quite a bit of HP you'll be able to get on your Great Maw now. Maybe even more so than previously, when it only used to be a Devour. So right here, we'll take that. A little bit down on damage. And, okay, I'll probably just let it take a skull. I don't see any extra turns around. So we'll take a skull and just finish off next turn. As you can see how consistent the Great Maw is now, that you don't have to worry about the Devour. Every single time you take skulls, you're automatically getting bonus. And as you can see right there, we just got a huge boost. Like, look at it, just going. It's still going. The trait is still going. And there it goes. And you can see just how high we just spiked up from that skull spam. Every single skull spam just makes the new Great Maw so much bigger. And that will do it for Great Maw teams, but I'm still going to be showing 2 more. We're going to be trying out the change tag as well as the new Astral Spirit. And the change tag I haven't even mentioned yet, and it might be a little bit hard to face against this team, since Hag isn't really that good, but it did get a really weird buff. Not that big. It now has a 8 mana cost instead of 9. That was the Hag's buff. That's it. I personally really hate her as a troop. Her ability on its own is okay. The main problem is her traits are absolutely horrible. Nature Heart's not going to do that much on any team. Jinx is it's okay, but you really need multiple Jinx to really utilize it. And Sturdy is pretty much pointless. So that combination just makes her like 3 traits like this. Like one of these would be okay, but all 3 of these is just together is fairly weak. But I am using her in this weird Watcher, Giant Spider, Hag, Goblin, Rocket deck, whatever even this is. If you know a good Hag team, let me know, because for the most part, it doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist. But she can place. The main reason why they lowered her mana cost is there's more effects in the game now, and since it's so random of what effect she does, they decided to lower her mana cost by 1. But for the most part, it's just so random that there is no point to ever really need to use her. It's kind of like the same. Oh no, really? Why would that happen? It's kind of like the same deal that Orion had for the longest time. He used to be too random to really be viable on a team, and he ended up getting buffed quite a bit. But even still, groups that are extremely random and have no consistency to them tend to be very, very weak. Also, I just noticed we're about to lose right now, probably. As you can see, this is a good example. Hag is very weak. And this is going to be kind of showing you weak. Or maybe this is showing that the Great Maw is strong. I don't even know. But we're about to lose right here, probably. Great Maw is just tearing us apart. Yeah, this is definitely an example of the Great Maw still being strong. Have we even gotten a move for like most of this game? It's about to kill us right here. Watch. I think it's about to go. Let's see. Yeah, it's about to go. It's right now. Wow. Yeah, Great Maw. Still strong. Still very, very much strong. And the Hag is still very, very much weak. And there is your example of such. And let's do this final one. It's actually really amazing that this came out to Goblins, because what did I put in my first one? Brian the Lucky. As far as this Astral Spirit team, I would suggest, or with Astral Spirit in general right now, I would suggest just using one on a team and using it as a board control troop. Because with Astral Spirit, from the very first turn, you can remove any gem of your choosing, and that can be very, very powerful for deciding how you want to control the board. And it can also allow you to only use 5 colors on a team instead of 6. We are using 6, but if Brian the Lucky dies, we're only using 4. So Astral Spirit will really come into play then. We have a Queen map here to make sure they stay frozen. It will help make sure we can do more board control with Astral Spirit in case we miss or don't get an extra turn or anything like that. And of course, Valkyrie we have for the souls farm. Of course, any Valkyrie team, Valkyrie, you want to use Valkyrie, get all your souls that you possibly can. And we're just going to be trying this out with Brian the Lucky, who, if he ends up giving a magic buff to any of these, that's going to be helping us a lot. Magic buff to Valkyrie, you'll be getting just completely loaded in souls. Magic buff to Queen Mab, you'll be team wiping the entire other team. And magic buff to Astral Spirit, and you'll pretty much be able to one-shot everything with true damage. So let's get into this and see how this goes. And we are against an all-goblin team, which is even better because Brian the Lucky does have 2 times skull damage to goblins. Even though he has a low attack, 2 times is still going to be giving him quite a bit of damage. And right off the bat, we're going to be able to fill up Valkyrie. To get another freeze off, we don't want those goblins doing anything at all. We'll take away these browns. And that will fill up our Queen map. Probably enough that we can cast it. And it definitely is. We even get Valkyrie all the way back up. Really good board so far. And we have a couple options that we can do. I'm probably just going to let it take those skulls, and we'll cast off a Queen map. And probably follow it up with another Valkyrie. We'll do that right on the purple. And we got another refill right on our Valkyrie. We haven't even had a chance to use our Astral Spirit yet. And I don't believe this is enough blue. We can count it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, wow. This actually is enough blue. So we'll really be able to get away with murder here. Just take that. Use the Valkyrie. Hey, Queen Mab still has a bit too. I believe that's enough blue. Let's just use it. Yes, it is. We'll take that. Take the yellow. This is a very lucky board, though. I do have to say. And now we can finally use our Astral Spirit. Unfortunately, we finally get an opportunity to, and there's not really a good spot to use it. So I'm probably just going to remove brown. Her boost ratio isn't as high, so we don't really need to worry about that too much. I see those skulls there. We'll take the yellow right there and those reds. You can fill Valkyrie right back up.
Surge.
Great board control. You can get pretty much any mana you choose with a Astral Spirit on your team. So right now, we'll just take out reds, get our Queen Mab back up. Actually, I didn't even need to do that. We could have just taken the skulls. But for fun, let's kill it with Astral Spirit. This is an Astral Spirit team. After all, let's just remove these blues. And the boost ratio should be enough that it does still kill it. Plus, we get skulls and extra turn skulls at that. Yeah, that is pretty much all of the changes that has occurred during this event. There was, of course, 2 troops that was added, but I'll be saving that for the event video on this Wednesday, as well as another redeem code then. So that'll wrap it up for this video. Leave a like if you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.